Hello my friends, how are you all keeping? Very well I hope. Lovely to see you all again. Welcome back to the channel, Easy Oil Painting. Let's have some fun with a lighthouse. I promised a subscriber of mine, a supporter, that I would do a lovely lighthouse. They requested a lighthouse. I haven't actually done a lighthouse and a seascape in a very long time, so I thought, why not? It might be a nice little tutorial for you to learn from. Now, it's a big canvas. It's 80 by 50 centimeters wide. 80 wide by 50 centimeters high. It's a nice wide canvas. I'm going to do a nice big seascape with a lighthouse and big waves crashing up from the ocean. It's a really nice photograph. I think we should try and paint this. I have it here on my phone. I'll show you. We're going to paint this today. I think that's quite nice. Very, impactful. There's a lot of impact, a lot of highlights, a lot of darks, a lot of movement in the water. I think we'll have a bit of fun with this. So I'm going to do this in a couple of different stages. It can be very daunting for beginners and amateurs even to look at a photograph that they'd like to paint and to try and simplify it. What I do, for me, it works for me, is I break it down into sections. You probably know this by now. I like to break a painting down into sections. So I'll start with the sky, maybe some of the distant spray. I'll work my way across the canvas. So I might do a section on the left, a section on the right, then do the middle, work my way down towards the viewer. So that's how I like to work. I just find it simplifies everything, and I'll zoom in on each section of the photograph then individually. So by the end, it'll all come together as one. So you're basically painting, if you think about it really, we're painting 3 or 4 different little paintings on the one canvas. So different little sections of a painting, and they all come together. They all merge together. Basically, that's kind of the simplified version of it really. So I will simplify it for you, but I'm going to be making some really dramatic, dramatic effects on the painting. So you're going to learn quite a bit from this, I think. If you haven't done a seascape before, do try it. It's so much fun. We can use a palette knife. We can put on lots of thick paint. It's really, really satisfying. So for me, this photograph really is all about lights and darks and fighting each other for competition on the canvas. That's what I like about a scene like this. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join me, grab your coffee, get your coffee if you haven't got one already. Grab a canvas. You can do this on any size canvas. It doesn't have to be a big canvas. You could just scale this down to a smaller canvas if you like. It's quite simple. Just copy what I'm doing on screen onto a smaller canvas. It's the very same thing. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much, my patrons, for your support. A lot of good stuff going on Patreon as well. We recently finished a beautiful sunset with mist over there on Patreon. If you want to go and check it out, thank you so much for your support. And I do sincerely appreciate it. So look, let's crack on and have a bit of fun with this. A couple of, maybe 3 different parts. Part 1, 2 and 3, we'll walk away and we'll get a lovely painting together. Hopefully it'll turn out nice. So let's go and let's have a bit of fun with this. I'll be right back. All right, let's go and have a bit of fun with this. Okay, I put a bit of masking tape across my canvas. Unfortunately, you can't see my palette because it's just too big. Everything is too big. So I just zoomed in on my canvas, but I will explain everything to you as I'm going. Very, very in detail. So look, I have a bit of masking tape across. There's a reference photograph. It should be somewhere around here out of view from me, where I can't see it, but it's here somewhere. I have masking tape. I did a very quick sketch of a couple of lines, that's all. We won't get this far today anyway. We'll focus on the sky and some of this wave possibly as well. So you can see it's just simple blue sky, but I might add a couple of clouds into the sky. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should add some very light clouds or if I should just leave it blue, because it's a nice contrast with just the blue, isn't it? So look, I will tell you what colours I'm using today. I have titanium white, magenta, phaylo blue, naples yellow, burnt sienna, burnt umber, lamp black, cadmium yellow and cobalt. I I have a new tube of cobalt blue turquoise. Just a little of that, but we might not even need that, to be honest. I'll just keep this nice and simple. So I'm taking a large brush. Now, one thing I did do here was I put a layer of linseed oil. You can see it on the tissue here, all right? I just put a layer of linseed oil across my sky. It's a very thin layer. It's very similar to liquid clear, but this is not as greasy and oily as liquid clear. It's just enough. I like to do that with a big canvas. It just helps the paint slide that little bit easier. So look, I'm just going to take my large brush. It is still a little dirty actually. I must give it just a quick clean on some tissue here, if you don't mind. I'm going to go into some phaylo blue and lots of titanium white. I'm making a very medium, it's a kind of a medium bluish shade I'm going for. I might add a touch of the cobalt turquoise in there as well, just a tiny bit. It's not a very vibrant blue, this sky. It's a sort of a dullish kind of a blue, isn't it? So I might take a tiny touch of lamp black as well. You could use burnt umber, but that will go on the greeny side. So I think a touch of lamp black in here. Let me just put a mark on the canvas and take a look. All right. It's not bad. I might go a touch darker, a little bit more black into that. It's kind of, now you can see that shade is slightly darker. I think that's pretty good. So you can see how a tiny amount of extra black makes all the difference in the shades. You see that? It goes very, very far, the colour, especially oil paint. Good quality oil paint goes very far. And you can see how this is really sliding nicely on the canvas. Look at that, it's just going on beautifully. And it's very easy to soften as well. So that's why the linseed oil is a great idea, it really is. I would say to you, do try it, even on a smaller canvas. Do try it, because it makes all the difference for mixing and stuff like that on your canvas. I'm just going to mix up another little bit of that colour here now. And then when I go, right, I'm just going to paint the entire sky with this colour. All right, let's paint everything this colour. And what's happening is, now I don't have any turpentine or thinners in my paint. What's happening is the linseed oil on the canvas is acting like a thinner. So it's kind of thinning the paint ever so slightly as I put the colour on. So it's going far. I'm just going to mix another tiny amount of that colour now, just to make sure I have enough. A little bit of the cobalt, a little bit of phaylo, and a touch of the black, lamp black. It's smoothing out beautifully, look at that. It's really making such a difference. If I didn't have the linseed oil on this, it would, you would see all the brush marks and it would be soaking into the canvas very quickly. Whereas you can see now, it's just going on so much easier for me. So much easier. Just keep going, putting that colour on. And I'm going to mix a tiny little bit again. Some more phaylo blue, more lamp black, and a touch of the cobalt turquoise. You could even use cerulean blue as well if you wanted to. It just makes the colour a little more sort of on the greeny side, if you know what I mean. That's a bit too rich, isn't it? So let's take some more white. A little bit more white into that. Once we have our base colour on, we can choose to lighten bits if we like, or, add a little cloud here and there. But the most important thing now for me right now is to get this colour onto the canvas. I want to get rid of that white canvas right now. That's all I'm doing. It's all I'm focusing on. So look, if you don't have linseed oil, by all means, just pick up a little bit of liquid clear and use that. Or you could give your sky a coat of thinners. So turpentine even on its own would do just absolutely fine as well. It's up to yourself. Or if you prefer to work on a dry canvas, you can do that as well. But it's just going to be a bit more difficult for you to blend colours together and all that kind of thing. To get a lovely soft sky. It just makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's doable. It's possible. Now, just go right across there. Let's get that nice and soft. And we do have some brush marks and stuff like that, you can see. But that's fine. We can, smoothen all that out with some soft blender brushwork in a moment. You could even crisscross everything, look. If you want to smooth it out with your normal brush, you can crisscross everything in together, blend it all nicely together, like that. And then go the opposite way. That's just bringing all those little areas of darks and lights in together a little better. And then you can go straight across it again. Very lightly, barely holding the brush as if you're using a feather in your hand. And that's much better. Now I think I should maybe just lighten slightly one side. I'm going to take some white with a touch of phaylo blue. And I think I might just lighten up here. I just want to create a kind of a light spot in the sky. There's no particular reason for it. It's only because I'm quite used to having skies with clouds and stuff like that. I'm not used to painting just a blue sky. So I like to have a little bit of a light source somewhere. Well, not a light source, but a little touch of brightness somewhere up in the sky. I think it just adds a bit more interest to the painting. Now, it may not make a whole lot of difference, but just tiniest little touch. And I might even add, let me see, I think I might just add a slightly hint of a darker shade on one side as well. I'm going to pick up a touch of magenta. Let's go, we have a lovely white wave over here, don't we, splashing up. So I'm going to just darken the sky with some phaylo blue, magenta and a little black. So it's going for a kind of a deep grey, pinkish shade. I might go in behind the wave here and just darken that ever so slightly with a pinkyish kind of a grey. And when we get to do this, the wave later on, this will make a nice little contrast in behind that wave. So we have a little bit of warmth just on the sky there. Just a little, you see that? I think that's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to peel off my masking tape. I'm just worried, I don't know, should I add some cloud into this? I don't think it might be a good idea. I suppose it's probably best just to leave it alone. I'm just going to soften this with my blender brush a little bit. Just try and lose some of the gradient on the canvas, just to make it a bit smoother, a little smoother, that's all. That's okay. That's fine, I think. Let's take off the masking tape and see. Now, here we are. We're moving on to the ocean just around here. Let's just fill all of this in right across there, okay? I'm going for a darker shade this time. It's pretty much similar but more pink. Let's take some phaylo blue, a little black, and a bit of magenta. And a touch of white just to thicken it up. The white makes it lovely and chalky. Let's just take a look. That's not bad. In fact, I might add a touch of cobalt turquoise into that as well. And I have a nice thick colour on my paintbrush now, alright? Nice and thick. Don't worry about getting a line perfectly straight, because if you look closely at the photograph, it's like waves breaking off in the distance. So it kind of goes up and down, up and down. So don't try and make this absolutely perfectly straight. And I myself might even soften this back into the horizon line slightly. I think I will. Let me just continue on here now just for a moment. Coming across here. We have lots of spray over here, so this doesn't really matter too much, look. And the difference here is I don't have any linseed oil here, and I can feel it. I can feel the dryness of the canvas. I can feel the canvas dragging the paint away. So I'm just adding touches of thinners into my colour, all right? Now I probably could have just put some linseed oil on this anyway. I probably could have. But it's, you know, I have paint on there now at the moment, so there's probably no point in putting linseed oil on here. I only have a little bit to do, so I'll just use my thinners to just do this part. I'm just picking up this kind of bluey pinky colour. I have a lot of pink in this mix. I want this Seascape to be nice and colourful. So I don't want it to be kind of just plain blue and grey and that kind of thing. I just want to add a little hint of nice warm colours into this Seascape, okay? I'm going over all this white splashy stuff here as well, because I want a nice dark background in contrast. So I'm just going to paint this across nice dark shades, and we can work our sprays and all that kind of stuff into this later on. So there we go. Now we have a nice little simple colour going on there. I might darken it with some cobalt turquoise and a touch of black just up here. I just want to add a hint of a greeny kind of a shade. A little bit more black. So what I want is a nice contrast behind the lighthouse. So I want it to be nice and dark up there. And I'm just simply going to go across the horizon line and just kind of look, I'm just wiggling my brush here and there. Softening it in, just make it very rough. You see, I'm just kind of allowing it to soften away up into that skyline. It's not perfectly straight, as you can see. Now I need to darken again slightly behind the lighthouse. I think it's just not dark enough. We get some burnt umber and some phaylo blue. That should give me a bit of a darker shade. And let me just soften that across here and there. And by doing so, you're also creating a little bit of movement in your water. Isn't that right? Okay, you're creating bits of movement, look, up there. It's a very rough ocean. It's not going to be absolutely smooth, is it? There we are, sorted, done. I'm going to clean my brush very quickly, and I want to add a hint of a kind of a pinky, misty sort of a shade down here. I'm going to take some magenta, some white, a touch of cobalt turquoise. I'm going to try it. I'm not familiar with using cobalt turquoise, so I'm just going to experiment with it for a while. You just get some hints of spray down here. It's kind of a pinkyish grey, you see that? Just kind of allow the brush to kind of go around in little circles. There we are. I just want to create a nice soft kind of a, you know, misty texture down around here. That's all. And we're kind of bringing it over to this side. And so far we have quite a bit done, don't we? You can see how easy that was to create that effect. Now I'm looking at my photograph and I'm thinking, where should I go next? I'm thinking all of this. We should concentrate on this. So what I might do is get the darker shade. You see the back of that wave breaking up here. I might try and get that in, and I can work from that then. So I'll take a little black, little magenta. Looking at that, it's like a dark purpley grey. Little touch of blue. And you can see it's dark. Between that and the sky is a dark shade. So it needs to be darker than the sky, if you understand what I mean. I'm going to come over a fair bit. Just want to come over around here. And I'm going to pop that in around here. Then I'm going to just start adding little more hints of blue and magenta into this. It's a bit more blue, isn't it? So what you do really is just look at the colour on your photograph, look at what you need, and just put that colour in. And if it's not correct, you know, you can change it. I'm just kind of adding colours that I see into this wave. Come down here, let's go down. It just goes into a white, doesn't it? Again, a touch of magenta. I'd like to make it a bit more colourful than the photograph, so that's why I'm kind of adding lots of blues and pinks. I do want it to be a little more colourful than the photograph. And I'm going to come up along, you see the small bit up here? We can pop a little bit in up there as well. Okay. So you can see I'm just putting in darker shades where I see the darker shades on the canvas. So we have that done. Let's clean our brushes just very quickly, get that colour off. I'm going to start going into some of the white. And I'm going to start with a soft white. So I'm going to take some titanium white and a little touch of magenta. And even maybe a touch of the bluey colour. So I'm going for a very soft, let's call it a very soft blue. I'm going to start with this. You see this big crest we have there, this lovely wave coming over. I'm going to start with that. I'm just going to cut in front of that darker shade. I'm just going around in circles, look. So this will be kind of the, for all the world, this would probably be the darker, shadier side of this wave breaking. And my highlights will go on top of that then, you see. So we can go and we can come up into this one as well, just a little bit, look. Like that. And what I always say with painting like this, and seascape, waves and stuff, less is more sometimes. So always, I would always tend to start off with maybe a little bit less impact first, because it's very easy to add very bright, rich highlights onto a painting like this, but it's more difficult to dull them down. So if I go too bright too soon, it's going to be very kind of messy for me to try and bring them back down again. Do you understand what that means? So that's why I always kind of use a little bit of caution just at the beginning. Take your time, just add little bits first. Just see how you go. See, I'm just kind of going into the paint that's already there and using that to lighten and darken my colours. It just takes time. This is very kind of slow and methodical, this type of painting. When you're painting splash and all that, just really take your time. I'm going to take a touch of white and magenta, and I'm going to kind of just maybe start lightening now, just little bits here and there. I'm just creating this lovely kind of soft, misty effect coming up and over. And it's kind of falling down then and disappearing down into this soft, misty shade over there, isn't it? Again, I'll just clean my brush very quickly. And I'll start adding a little bit more light into this, I think. I'm going to go with a little bit more. I'm going to take some titanium white, and this time I'm going for some Naples yellow. Now the Naples yellow will kind of mix with the blue and give you that perhaps a kind of a greenish, muddyish shade, but that's fine. I don't mind. That's what I kind of want. I find the trick with painting like this is to plan ahead. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking ahead. So I know using Naples yellow and white on this is going to create that kind of greeny shade, greeny whitey colour. You see that mixing with the blue? That's what I want. I want that kind of greenish, whitish shade on my canvas. So I'm doing it on purpose. A bit more Naples yellow, a bit more white. Again, we're going into kind of yellowy whites up here. You see that? Just fill that in. And you can see how it's going that greeny shade. Now that's fine. I don't mind that at all. That all adds to the painting. So I'm just going to get the shape now of this big splash over there. Again, naples yellow, lots of white. I might try a hint of magenta as well. But be careful, the magenta is a very strong colour. A tiny bit goes very far. I'm going to start putting on this kind of bright pinkish shade. Again, I just want to add a little bit more colour to this. So I'm just going to dab that around on my canvas like this. And I'm just slowly building up my layers. That's all I'm doing. Very slowly building up highlights here and there. Up here we have a lot. Now I'm just using the dabbing technique for this. The very same as what you would do if you were painting trees, etc. The very, very same. Just take a very old flat brush. You see, that's very worn. Just take a brush like that and just go for it. Just go for it and have some fun. I'm just being very sort of random with my brush, okay? Very random. I'll come down here and add a nice light in there. So we're getting there very slowly. This is a long process. That's why I was saying I would like to have 3 or 4 different parts of this tutorial. Because, yeah, I want to take my time and enjoy this and have a bit of fun with this. So that's why I'm going to just finish this side now, and then I'll call part 1 finished. Let me just get some nice highlights up here. Just start bringing some highlights in to this shaded side of the wave here. And soften these down very gently. Then I'll just go into some nice white, pop some nice bright white in here. And we're going to have some fun in a moment just with real bright highlights. I'm just building it up. That's all. I'm just building up this side. Now, how do you think this is coming on so far? I think quite nice. I'm quite pleasantly surprised and happy, because I wasn't expecting it to turn out as nice so soon, I'll be honest. With a painting like this, you're always apprehensive, you know. You hope for the best in a lot of cases, for me anyway. Sometimes I just generally kind of hope for the best and hope that it turns out like I want it to turn out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the fun for me. That's all the fun of it. I'm going to go into a palette knife. I could use a palette knife, or I could use a brush. I think for here, for this very vibrant, bright section, a palette knife would be very nice to use, wouldn't it? So look, I have this type of a palette knife. I have a large and a small and a pointy one. I think this size is nice. Make sure there's no yellow on this palette knife now. And there is. So I need to scrape that off just very quickly, because this will contaminate the colour. It will eventually. Right, I'm going to pick up lots of white and a hint of Naples yellow. I'm just going to mix it very quickly on my palette and just pick it straight up. Now I have a lot of white Naples yellow here. I'm simply going to just go here, look, and just start working it in. Getting lovely bright paint on there. You can dab, you can do all sorts of stuff with your palette knife. It's very relaxing to use a palette knife like this. It really is. I'll go up here and just add a couple of lights here and there. Pick up some more and just refine this line, this nice bright line we have there. Let's just refine that a little bit. Now you can start to see the real bright stuff coming in. The real impact. You can start to kind of make it out now, can't you? Let's cover this entire area here with nice bright colour. Again, white and a bit of naples yellow, it's really all you need. And I'm just fixing my palette now. I have a chunk of paint on my palette there, it's just really annoying in my white. So, white, naples yellow again. That mix just gives you this very intense white, okay? I'm just popping that on and then just sort of dabbing it around, and it's all about creating the shape. So I'll just keep going. You can use lots of different techniques now for all of this. You can, you can dab, you can scrape, you can do whatever you like. It's your painting. You can do whatever way you like to do. Whichever makes you happy, do it that way. That's what I say to people. Okay? There's no kind of rules as such really in this type of painting. You can make up rules if you like and have your own set of rules that you must and mustn't do. But for me in general, I just go with the flow and have a bit of fun, see what happens. Now, I'm just going to start softening this in by dabbing. I'm just going to soften some of these back just by dabbing them in. And I'll go back in them with my slightly darker shades in a moment. So I'll pick up another brush and I just want to bring some more darkness in to that side. So phaylo blue, magenta, and maybe a little burnt umber. You could try a little burnt umber as well. We get that nice dark, rich, pinkish kind of a shade. So I'm going to go nice and dark now with this. In fact, I'll take some naples yellow as well. Add a little bit of softness to this. I just want to kind of go in and reinforce this little bit of dark down here. I'm just going to pop it in like this. A bit more burnt umber, I'm thinking. Just a little touch of burnt umber around here. But it's mixing with the black, if you know what I mean. Just going to mix it in and allow it to just disappear off up here into the wave. Then I'll take my soft blender brush again and just kind of soften that together. Just to soften it out just a bit. So we can go back over this then, you see, with real bright highlights again. So it's all about just, working different sections in together. What I'm going to do now is just put in that very dark section here. I really want to get that in because I think it's going to look really nice once that's in. It'll give you some definition. So look, I'll go back to my little flat brush. I'm going to pick up some burnt umber and I'm going to go with some burnt sienna, maybe a touch of magenta, and a touch of phaylo blue. Now I'm starting with this rich dark colour first, okay? It's like a dark, muddy brown colour. See that? In fact, we could even take a touch of cadmium yellow into this as well. Now I'm just going to go up and find where it starts, that colour. You see that? It kind of comes up around here, doesn't it? Bit more cadmium yellow and a bit more burnt sienna. That'll warm it for us a little bit. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bring this further into the painting, because I want to kind of bring it further in so you can see a bit more of it. On the photograph it's very sort of over to the extreme right hand side, whereas I would prefer if it was a bit more further in. So I'm just going to go in a bit more. We can do whatever we like with this. It's our painting. We don't have to copy the scene exactly, do we? So we can, look, we can come right in, give it a good impact. I'm just going to put that colour in and just follow the direction of where it's going, look. And then it sort of goes off in here as well. It kind of disappears into the dark side of the wave. Yeah, like that. Let's just soften it in. Bring it up like that. Leave it just flick up and disappear into the wave. Now I want to go nice and dark up on top as well. There's a lot of dark colour in this, so I'm going to try some black, some phaylo blue, and a little cadmium yellow. Now that's going to effectively give me a very blacky green, but I'll add a touch of sienna to it. And I just want to go up, especially in the dark section up here. It's very kind of a browny greeny shade, isn't it? So let's just put some burnt umber with that blacky shade up there. And coming down, we have a little bit of it down here as well. I'll take a bit of sienna into this. That's better, isn't it? It kind of warms it a bit more, doesn't it? We'll just flick that away, allow that to soften out. Again, I'll take some burnt sienna, some burnt umber perhaps, and just want to go up here and get a really nice dark definition. That's the word I'm looking for, a nice rich dark definition up there. A little bit more cadmium yellow in the mix. That's probably a little bit better, isn't it? A bit more yellow. So it's, if you think about it, really, it's just kind of a greeny shade for all the world. It's more of a kind of a, it's all more of a dark greeny sort of a shade, all of this. Just allow that to kind of disappear out of the canvas. I'm just going to dab at the top just to kind of make it a bit more random, make it soften in a little bit more into the white. As you can see up there, it's just kind of softening in, isn't it? And with that, I am going to just go for a smaller round brush and put some real dark shades in there. I'm going to go with a black, a little yellow, and a bit of burnt umber. So it's a very blacky, browny kind of a colour. And I'm just going to kind of start adding little darks with this, okay? Nice dark shades here and there. I'm just being very random now, and I'm sort of looking at the photograph, and I'm just looking at where some of the darks are, and I'm just going to kind of put them in with this and allow them to sort of just wiggle their way down. I just want to make it all very sort of random, okay? Does that make sense? All very random coming down. It's all these little wiggly lines. And it does get very dark in there. I'm going to pop some blue, phaylo blue, just in there and allow that to just filter away behind. So now I'm going to just take my soft blender brush and start softening some of these very gently. I don't want to show solid brush marks with a lot of this. I just want to kind of, you know, allow these to soften in. Especially around here, look. I'm just going to allow that to soften in there very, very lightly. Like so. And then I'm going to start adding brights. This is where it gets fun, everyone. Some nice brights. I'll stick with this round brush. It's just a small round brush, that's all. Nothing fancy. And I'll grab some white from my palette. Let me just grab some titanium white on my palette. And I am going to grab some Naples yellow as well. Just a touch. Just to make sure I have enough. Let's take our small round brush and let's take some Naples yellow with some white. Lots of each. I'm not using any thinners in this. I just want this to be nice and thick. And I'm just going to start putting in very bright shades of these little wiggly lines coming down. Okay, that's all. Now I might actually try a touch of cadmium yellow as well. That'll give me an even brighter white kind of a colour. Just around the middle you can see there's a lot of this kind of colour in here, isn't there? So I'm just being very random now with all of this and just allowing it to merge, but not too much. It's just showing where the sunlight is really hitting all of this. And then it disappears as it comes down like this, you see? It just fades away. And we just have little hints of that as we come along. Little tiny hints of it. We have a lovely bright section of it just here. And I am as well now with this going to go onto my palette knife. Because I think a palette knife is going to give us some really wonderful texture in all of this. So I'll just grab some Naples yellow and lots of white. And look, let's just fill our palette knives and just put it on like that, look. And just be very random with all of this. The secret here is to keep cleaning your palette knife after each turn. It keeps your paint nice and fresh. There. Just have some fun with your knife. That's what I would say to you. All right, have some fun. Don't be shy. I'm going to just add a little bit of bright foam just around here as well. And I'm going to almost say this is part one finished. Almost. You know, we're almost there really with this. We've got a lot done, haven't we now, in fairness, in the space of what, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. So I think we should be proud of that. Be proud of what we have done here so far. And I think we should just say, okay, I'm happy with this. I call this part 1 finished. The first phase of the painting is done, and I'll move on and start another phase of the painting. In a moment. Now what you could do with all of this is, look, I'm going to just sort of drag it down. You could even use a soft blender brush as well, but I'm just going to use the tip of my knife just to sort of drag it down. And I'm going to be putting some darks in here as well now, don't worry, this is not finished. I will be just putting some darks in around all of this as well. So I'll show you what I mean by putting some darks. If you take some black and let's get some burnt umber, okay? There's even a bit of blue in there as well. If I just take a very dark colour and I go in and just sort of add a couple of darks in between those, it just accentuates some of those brights. It just brings them out a little. Particularly down the end, look. Just pop a few darks in. And it all helps. But I will be kind of brightening all this now as well very soon. So it does look very dark, but I want to add a bit more colour to this. So what I'm going to do to brighten that, because it's only afterwards when you sit back you kind of notice that it's too dark. It needs to be a little brighter. So I'll take my palette knife. I'm going to grab some cadmium yellow and burnt sienna. Okay, and let's just try this and see what happens. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow and burnt sienna. I'm going to just kind of pop it in. Here and there. Just allow that come in and merge. Let's go again. Cadmium yellow, burnt sienna. Maybe a hint of naples yellow. I'm just mixing generally a warm kind of a colour for this. Just use my palette knife, go up and merge it all together. Just have a bit of fun. Come on. Let's have some fun with this. And there we are. There's one little thing that I must do. I must add lots of naples yellow up there, because I can see that wave up there, the crest of that wave. It's just not bright enough for me. Just not. So I'm taking naples yellow and white, and maybe even a touch of cadmium yellow as well. Maybe. Let's try it. Let's take a bit of cadmium yellow and white. It's a very luminous white up here, isn't it? It's almost blinding, the colour of it. It's really bright. So let's just go up and pop some of that in there with our knives, making it nice and messy. All right? Don't be afraid to make it nice and bright and messy. It's only paint. So look, if we make it wrong, if we do it wrong, we can just go back and fix it. So don't be too worried. And then I'm going to take some of this darker colour and I'm just going to add some of that darker shade just in here and there. You can see there's little hints of that going up here and there. Just mess around with your knife, have a bit of fun. That's what it's all about for me. Do you know? You need to have a little bit of fun with this. Don't be too constrained. And what I'll do then is take my soft blender brush and just soften them very gently. And my friends, I'm going to call this part 1 finished. Let me just call across here so you can see, and I'm going to zoom in a bit more. I will warm that section there again, okay? I will warm that a little bit more, don't worry. Let me just get that set there for you. Yes, you can warm that quite easily. I could take some, again, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow, and a touch of magenta. And we could add this very nice, warm, kind of a pinky brown into this. Just in places, again, just to warm it up. That's all you want to do, is warm. So I'm just grabbing bits of colour. I'm just grabbing bits of Naples yellow with the burnt umber, little bits of cadmium yellow, this and that. I'm just kind of experimenting with the colour, just to see if it works. That's all I'm doing. Just want to see if this all kind of comes together and works. And maybe a little touch of white, just a couple of kind of random highlights in the water down here, look, that's all it is. That's what I call them, just random highlights. Doesn't have to be in perfect detail or anything like that, just random highlights. Just put a bit of white. And then I'll just come over here and just create, again, a bit of a random effect with this. So you can see now by using the palette knife, it helps you achieve what you want much quicker, doesn't it? It really does. It's such a pleasure to work with a palette knife with a painting like this, because you can create many different effects very easily. My friends, I'm calling it done. I'm not going to keep going at it. So there is phase 1 of our lovely seascape finished. I'll just move everything out of my way here now, and I'll turn the camera around so you can see myself again. Look, there we go. Let me fix the exposure on this. It has to be done manually. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be right back with part 2. I'll leave that set just for a little while. I'll go and have a nice coffee, and I will I'll see you back here very soon, in the next couple of hours, hopefully. I'll try and get back to this in a few hours' time and carry on. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. I hope I didn't make it too complicated, but as you could see, I was just kind of having some fun with the palette knife and brushes and that kind of thing. So don't over-emphasize detail in paintings, really, I would say. Just have a bit of fun. Go on, grab a coffee. I'll be right back. I'll see you very soon. Thanks, my friends.